You are listening to Offensive Lines with Marlon and Boyd. Small stakes NFL gambling for the average fan.
Welcome to Offensive Lines, the off-season. And it's not the off-season for much longer.
Yeah, what do we got left?
Well,
another 40 days or something?
Less than that. Well, probably around there. But some over-under number lines came out, but we haven't had a chance to look at them. But very soon, we're going to be able to do a podcast with gambling.
Yes, looking forward to it.
But, well, it's been an off-season where there's been plenty to talk about. Again, maybe not the bounty scandal, but something close. And, well, here's our last sort of timeless topic that's going on. Boyd's, you've been wanting to talk about HGH for a month now.
Well, we've touched on it before in the past and about players we suspected of using, and we've mentioned that they were trying to get some. This was, what was the CBA? The last one was signed, what, 2 off seasons ago?
Yeah, very near the end of the off season. Not last season, but the season before. Yeah.
Yeah. And they had signed off on the collective bargaining agreement saying that they were going to work towards a testing program for HGH. And for as long as the NFL has had drug testing in their sport, they have said that they have the toughest drug testing program in the 4 major sports, which I've always called bullshit. Now, what they're trying to do
think
with
people naturally are 320 pounds ripped and can run a 4.740?
Well, no. But that's the myth they're trying to feed the public. Well, the public doesn't really care, but we discussed that before too, and our thoughts on all that. Now, what's really pissing me off is what the players are trying to do for the HGH testing. They're the ones that have been dragging their feet on it. So that leads me to believe that there's a lot of them that are doing it, and they know there are a lot of them doing it, and they can't afford to have a scandal the likes of what baseball had with McGuire and Sosa and Bonds and all those guys with steroids in the late 90s, early 2000s. Now, what the players want to do to get this, what they're agreeing to now is kind of what like baseball did when they had their first steroid testing introduced. They did a population study to determine how many players were using, to give them an idea. And then after that first round of testing, you weren't going to be suspended. You were going to be notified that you were caught, but you weren't going to be suspended. And then testing would begin after that. And the strength of the testing or testing procedures was based on how many players were caught. So now what the NFL wants to do, or the players want to do for HGH, because they say there's no legitimate testing for it, which there is, they want to do a population study. So what they're going to do is take blood from all the players, determine the HGH levels of those players, take an average, and use that as the baseline of what would be considered a false test or a negative test. So their premise, which is fucking ludicrous, is that athletes or players in the NFL will have naturally higher HGH levels in their body than the normal public.
Yeah, and based on the best science available, that is an absolute fallacy.
Yes, because
HGH has nothing to do with the fact that you are a higher performing human being. It's a complete fallacy. And so they're trying to set the baseline
higher.
Yes, at a level where the HGH is already present.
Yes, and which means that they're going to take guys that are abusing HGH right now and use that as the baseline.
And call that the norm, yeah.
Yeah, the World Anti-Doping Association has the baselines in all humans basically is the same, or in males. It's the same for across the spectrum. I don't know about females. In males, it's across the board. We're all the same. All have the same naturally occurring levels of HGH in our system. That should be the baseline. That's not what they're doing. They're going to take, who knows? I would say at least half the league's probably using HGH. So you're going to take that elevated level and make that the benchmark. You're never going to catch anybody cheating. If your
but
baseline,
that's exactly what
I know.
In my opinion, both the league and the players want. I can't believe they haven't quietly done this deal to say like that. Okay, this is great because the NFL A doesn't want the scandal, as you've said, and B, the notion that there's something out there that can get players not necessarily bigger, faster, or stronger, but back on the field more quickly. That's the NFL's dream. You don't want your stars out for 18 months. You want Adrian Peterson.
Well, that was the other thing this week that just drove me nuts. With Adrian Peterson, the speculation of him using something to come back as fast as he did and have the season he did, to come out and say, oh, I'm pretty sure there's guys in the NFL using HGH. And I'm just like, are you ridiculous? What? I think he used something. There's been nobody come back that fast from that injury and do what he did. Nobody.
Yeah, I mean, it's alleged. It could be a complete outlier, but he was treated in Germany, where I believe, the records are confidential, whatever, and a lot of the world is using this, fountain of youth, as they call it.
And we don't know what they're doing to the blood.
I think it's circumstantial. It's very leading, but we have no proof.
Well, no, we don't have proof.
But I think we have a reasonable grounds to suspect.
That's like Ray Lewis came back from a tricep tear that has kept most guys out for the year. He's back in like 6 to 8 weeks.
But interesting in the current baseball and other sport scandal with the Florida Clinic distributing HGH, the only sport not represented on those player rolls is NFL.
Not yet.
Do they just have a better supplier?
No, not yet. The person that has been supplying the other leagues with information has more athletes from more sports that haven't come out yet.
Oh, so he's just releasing it like a slow-blooming ad campaign.
Well, it keeps him out of jail, right? The more he can negotiate deals.
So it's like Bundy saying he knew where more bodies were.
Well, I believe that's what's happening. He just he'll get a lighter sentence the more he exposes. Because he doesn't have, not like Jose Canseco, who was basically blackballed out of anything.
For telling the truth?
For telling the truth. This guy, it's going to benefit him, but we won't care because we don't know who he is. But,
well, yeah, he's not a turncoat. He's a dealer, not a fellow user in the major league sports. So his self-interest is pretty much all that matters. He has nothing to lose.
No, and everything to gain.
Yes.
So he's hoping this is going to keep him out of prison. Because you're not supposed to be... You can prescribe HGH, but only where it's needed. It's still illegal just to give it to some guy because he wants it.
Well, and steroids are the same thing.
Yes,
steroids
but not for enhancing.
No, exactly. But they can be prescribed legally. The drug itself is not inherently illegal. It is the so-called abuse of it, which is.
I'm still trying to figure out when other athletes, like in MMA right now, they're using testosterone replacement therapy as the way to get higher levels of testosterone allowed in their testing before fights. When is this going to transfer over into other sports? Because you can just go to your doctor and go, I need some I have low levels of testosterone. Can you prescribe? You get the doctor to prescribe it?
Oh, yeah, it's that T-cell or whatever replacement.
Yeah, testosterone replacement therapy.
Yeah.
So they basically boost so that it allows them to have
I heard a doctor
testosterone.
at Corolla one time saying that if you didn't wake up with an erection, you needed some T-cell replacement. Luckily not a problem, but that seems a pretty vague way to prescribe a drug.
Well, no, but Well, no, but the drug companies don't care and the doctors don't care that are prescribing it because it'd be kickbacks and everything. It's still, we say this all the time, follow the money, because it's true in every facet of sport or life. Wherever you find some scandal, there's going to be money involved. So the guy that was sending this stuff out to the pro athletes in Florida was making a shitload of money because he'd put a premium on it, just like a dealer, because he knew he was selling it illegally. And when you get...
Well, and if his stuff was high quality, no side effects, who cares about the price? I mean, the quality of the product affects the price. I mean, this is one of the few things that isn't truly branded yet.
But it's not some guy like me wanting to go to the gym and get bigger. This guys that do this for a living, they have unlimited funds, basically. A-Rod's worth probably $400 million. Does he care what it costs to get the drugs? I just got to keep playing so I keep making the money. So this TRT is going to be a thing that all sports are going to have to deal with eventually. Because it's just like in California, medical marijuana. Well, everybody has a medical marijuana card. Just go to the doctor. Yeah, I got pain in my back and I wake up. I think I'm getting some arthritis or whatever the fuck it is. And they get it.
This and is that necessarily a bad thing?
No, but this is what's going to happen. Not marijuana, but this is what's going to happen.
You make
TRT.
All the time. You know, there's hypocrisy here. We want the athletes to do these things. We want them to heal. Yet, somehow we've created this artificial line of what they are allowed to do to themselves to achieve those goals.
No, we've been screaming about that for 2 years. The whole time we've been doing the podcast, it's come up all the time. Where's the line? Who determines the line? Then the line's just for us. The line's just for the fans, because the owners and the players don't care, or they wouldn't keep taking it, or they wouldn't keep turning a blind eye and telling me they're testing properly.
Well, and this is where it comes back to something I said earlier. I can't believe that the league and the players haven't agreed to this system of testing, which is designed specifically to pull the wool over our eyes.
Well, no, that's how they're going to be tested now. But
why haven't they agreed to it yet? That's what I can't understand yet, because I believe both the players and the league want the same thing. They want to appear to be clean, but they want these athletes back from injury on a superhuman level at all times.
But it's not even back from injury. This is to get them doing greater and greater things. That's the same reason the owners turned a blind eye to steroids in baseball. McGuire's hitting 500-foot home runs, and they're cutting into regular scheduled programming to show us at bats. That's what the NFL want. That's what these leagues need.
Is what steroids does. I'm not certain that ultimately is the effect of the HGH.
Yes, it is. It is.
I thought the HGH, and you're better informed on this, but let me give my misconception so you can correct me. I thought that was more about the sustainability of the effort level, that your body doesn't decay as fast, that it's not so much you will pack on muscle mass, that you will do anything, but you will remain more limber, your career will go on longer.
No,
I didn't think it was so specifically performance enhancing. So
no, but you take it with other stuff, but you don't have to take as much of the other stuff to throw off the red flags.
Oh,
so you take it with the testosterone or something, and if you have a good doctor, you keep your levels right. You're not going to be a red flag. HGH, if it helps you recover from injury, it's going to help you recover from working out. The biggest thing from working out where you lose the benefit is your muscles don't recover fast enough so you can keep working out the next day the same way. That's why we've all had training regimens where you do bis and tris, shoulder, back, legs to give all your muscle groups a chance to recover.
The cellular level, but you've got to allow it to repair the damage you've done.
Right. So this helps repair that damage, which makes you bigger, faster, and stronger.
All right. Well
No
put.
different than to they wouldn't be taking this if it was just to keep their muscles limber. I
didn't mean limber. I mean,
No,
I
I
didn't
know.
express that, but
No, I know what you
that
mean.
it retarded some of the destructive nature of it. And I wasn't relating that to what we typically think of as steroids and performance-enhancing drugs, that it builds more mass and
it does.
more muscle speed mass. But as you said, does it on its own, or is it, as you described, part of a regimen? You combine it so it does allow you to build more mass.
Well, it would work on its own, or players wouldn't take it when they're 30. They would be taking it later on in life, like A-Rod at the end of the career. These guys are taking it now. Ryan Braun in baseball, he's not even 30. Just got suspended for 65 games for HGH. I don't know. I can't break it down to the molecular level for you.
Yeah,
but
no, and I don't expect to. We're not doctors.
There's a huge benefit to it, and it's not just for to slow down the process of your body breaking down. You don't get as big. You're not going to look like a steroid monkey on it. Or
head. I think of Mark McGuire, who looked absurd in that home run race. I mean,
and here's the thing that I thought of last week is, remember during baseball when McGuire and Sosa were on the same, or McGuire and Canseco were on the same team, and the baseball writers and analysts used to say, "Oh, you walk into the Oakland A's locker room, it looks like a football locker room. McGuire and Canseco look like linebackers." Well, hello.
Yeah, so why does a football locker room?
Big?
Yeah, why does that seem natural in football?
If it's unnatural in baseball, how is it natural in football? That's it. It makes no sense. But the reporters and everything, the NFL is a big money-making machine. It doesn't matter if you're in the media covering it, you've got a great gig, because it's around-the-clock coverage of the NFL. 12 months a year, you've got a job. You're not a beat reporter just for the 4 or 5 months that the games are on anymore, and you have to cover other shit to make ends meet. No, you're just a football reporter. Everybody, ESPN, CBS, NBC, all these companies don't want the golden goose to go away. It's the only thing that makes them money anymore, or it gets live eyeballs on a set. It's not being recorded, not TiVoing it to watch it 3 days later. The advertisers pay big bucks because there's actual eyeballs on the set at the time it's happening. There's nothing on TV like it anymore that lasts that long. It's reality TV that people watch in real time.
Agreed, but that prompts the question I have. Why have they been unable to come to the whitewash deal that we expect is the ultimate result of this?
Well, I don't know. Is Goodell trying to look like the White Knight? I don't know. Because who wants to...
See, that's the part in the follow the money where I don't see where this posturing on both sides helps anyone make money.
But Marlon, if they do this population study the way it's set out right now, they're going to get killed. You're going to get killed. You can't have a population study based on the levels of the players in your league when you suspect that some of the league is cheating.
No, but the people who want to believe are still going to believe. Boy.
No, I know, but I'm just saying that you can't. I can't believe this doesn't get more play.
Well, you just explained that. You explained that very succinctly.
But why do
Who
we
is going
anything?
to give it play when everyone has a vested interest in the discussion?
Then why do we even have media anymore?
Being a question I've been asking for a little while.
Because the news isn't news anymore. Nobody investigates anything.
It's royal family.
Kim Kardashian.
Thank God another idle rich was born.
Yeah.
Like,
What would we
wow.
do? Yeah, it leads our news in Calgary. I'm like,
I suspect it led the news everywhere. You know,
but how?
with
But
the
how do you
exception
mean
of
that?
the Muslim world,
Oh, they probably did too.
but they probably have their own versions of that.
Yeah. Oh, another infidel to kill.
Well,
That's our lead.
oh, yeah. Except that, they've never really targeted the Royals because even they know they're ineffective and meaningless.
Yes. No, but there's drug testing. There's some Olympic athletes. If you want to get right down to it in clean sports of everything, of the cheats, here's what you do. And they introduced this, I think it was the the USA Olympic Association had some athletes go in and do full blood work to set baselines for everything for that individual athlete. Then you're tested and everything's compared to your base. You want to get rid of performance enhancing drugs? Every athlete that comes into every league has a baseline test when they come in as a rookie.
But an unintended result of that is then they can never quit what they're on at that time.
No, but it's based though. Your base is based on.
But how do you know they're clear when they come in as a rookie and that's their base?
That's
the same argument we've just been making about this baseline test.
No, the World Anti-Doping Association has what the levels are in a normal human. And there's variance to that, right? But they also know through current testing when that's skewed, how they're catching these guys now. So your base is a clean base, or you'd get suspended before you even came in. So they have a base. Like there's a level, an acceptable level of testosterone, HGH, all these things in our blood that they test for. And most of the stuff on these testing lists are masking agents. It's not the actual steroid. It's the agents to mask them, get them suspended too. That's why all
that
these
makes
guys
logical sense.
Right. That's why all these guys claim, well, it was in a supplement I took.
In financial, you can't just look for large amounts of money. You look at where the money is coming from and how it moves around.
Right.
That's how you spot patterns. Yeah, it's the same thing in any organism.
So they have all these levels for the Olympic athletes. The major sports leagues don't adopt this testing because it's too strict and too many guys would get caught. So they kind of blur that line to make us think it's kosher when it's not. That's the problem. And that's what the NFL is trying to do here. Just accept the anti-doping rules that have been created for the Olympics and apply it to your sport. And you'd fucking lose half of every league. How it's never been brought up in basketball yet is beyond me. Like, they talk about LeBron James, how fast and how big he is. Dwight Howard, like, these guys are behemoths, yet they move and jump like guys that are 6 inches smaller and 50 pounds lighter.
And they do it for a lot of years, too. There were always those anomalies who could do it, but
now
their
they all
body
do.
could not sustain it for a lot of years without massive destruction to the body.
But now they all do it. Like, these guys are lasting 15, 18, 20 years now in the NBA. I don't know. I hate to paint everything with such a broad stroke, but there's more going on than what they want to admit, and they just blur it enough and smudge the edges just so we think, oh, it's on the up and up. But then why do we have almost every year another scandal in one sport or another?
And another record broken. I think the two are linked, you know? But what part of this, and this is a discussion we've had before too, what part of this is just the nature of technological progress on the human body? Technological not being entirely accurate, but, we understand diet better than we used to. This has made athletes better.
Yeah, but it doesn't produce more testosterone.
I know, but all of these things have improved.
Yes.
We understand training methods. They all have improved. Why is this banned? The only argument they really have is that this affects long-term health. Well, as we've discovered, almost all of this affects long-term health. This is the trade-off you take. Whether it is training obsessively and destroying your knees and your hips, whether it's doing this, all of these things are a trade-off. And what we are doing is saying, you can trade this for that, but you can't trade this for that.
Yeah. It's cortisone is a perfect example.
Thank you.
Cortisone is a perfect example of a drug they allow. Like here, you have to wait in line for 6 months to hopefully get a cortisone shot. They fucking dispense that stuff like it's lemonade in pro sports. These anti-inflammatory drugs they inject right into the site, painkillers. Like cortisone just masks the pain. So they'll go, okay, we've checked you out. You're not going to do any more damage, so we'll shoot you out.
Well, it's a meat tenderizer was what it was developed as, if I'm not mistaken.
So, but yeah, they use it to get these guys back on the field, but you catch them with HGH in their system, you're done. It's some magical, mystical line they've decided to create to give us the illusion of fair play. Well, why not open it up and let the guys... And I've said this before.
Because then when they open it up, what'll happen is 20 years after the fact, people will say, oh, you encouraged me to destroy my body.
No, but that's where
the
contracts come in.
Lawsuits.
No, but that's where they're in your contract now, you will sign. And I would hope this comes sooner rather than later. It's the only way around. It's like a waiver when you bungee jump. If something happens to me, the company isn't liable.
Well, as far as I know, those waivers are destroyed in court at all times.
But look on the back of a ticket if you go to a hockey game or a baseball game.
Oh, I know, but you can still sue. And you'll win a ton.
No, you don't win. They settle because it's cheaper.
Yeah. So
it's not that you'd win.
It's not really a deterrent. It just means that the costs are fractionalized.
No, but how do non-disclosure agreements work then? How are they not destroyed in court? This is the same fucking thing. I can't talk about something I know from a business I worked in to a competitor or start my own business. Non-compete clauses, non-disclosure clauses. How the fuck do they work? How do prenups work? You can write the fucking language so it can't be challenged in court in a contract.
Well, actually, I've heard recently that prenups, anything that is written can be attacked, was the quote I heard.
Yeah, it can be attacked.
If you attack it well enough. And the problem is the settlements and the cost of the whole process, because you don't have to win anymore or be right. You just have to be persistent.
Yeah, but in a league that has antitrust exemption, if you sign a waiver saying that any related health problems, I cannot sue. You sign that. How would they go again? How would they, why? What if
you
they
could say it's an unenforceable contract? What
if they put this in? Okay, so then how come they can't cut these guys when they test positive for drugs? Riddle me that. If I can't put in a clause that says that if you can't sue me for damage you do to your own body, knowing the risks that you know, how come if I wanted to cut a guy after his first drug offense, I can't do it. Because that's been collectively bargained. If you collectively bargained this with the union about signing the waiver, it would hold up in court.
Who's willing to make the challenge? I mean, maybe this is where the whole concussion thing is going to lead us.
Well, it's the only thing they can...
To what is an understandable risk? What are the responsibilities of both sides to both reasonably inform and take a reasonable risk? You know me, I've said this for a long time. There are a lot more dangerous jobs than NFL players, and people agree to them because of the money. They are aware of the risks, and they die or they're hurt. Just look at construction. Just look at any of the hard, dirty jobs that are getting done out there. They're a lot riskier than football.
Yeah, but they're not sexy to talk about on TV.
Well, that's true, and
they affect
But
their
I suspect
livelihood.
if we really looked at it, there probably are a lot of those people who've taken long-term chronic injuries who are killing themselves at a much higher rate than the per capita than NFL players.
Look at truck drivers. Their backs are fucked when they're done. Who do they go to?
There are so many horrendously brutal jobs, and people make the decision to accept the risk. I mean, we can even go the hero thing.
Boxers.
Police take a risk. Do you think they could collectively sue and say, oh, we didn't realize the risks of being shot in the brain by a crack dealer in the 80s?
No, I know. I don't get the outrage in football. Well, the only thing
in football is if the medical data was available for concussions and the NFL covered it up for a certain period, there is some validity in those claims. The rest of the claims, I just say, you took the money and the fame, and if you didn't understand the risk, you're the same guy as the Apache steel worker who worked on the skyscrapers in New York and Chicago in the 30s. You took the money. You knew there was a risk. Sorry.
No, I still can't see how they're going to prove they covered it up when nobody knew anything then anyway. The doctors did.
Well, I don't think so, but I'm leaving that open. But honestly, the players from the 60s...
Yeah, but what are you covering?
Really, no one had any medical data. I feel bad for the way the NFL Players Union has screwed these guys in their pensions. I feel bad for a lot of things for these players who created this game. But this concussion lawsuit is not the way to get your compensation.
But here's what they're trying to do, in my opinion, is they couldn't go after them on the pension thing and the healthcare stuff. That all got thrown out. This was the other avenue they had to sue the league. And I would like to see how many players, a la Troy Aikman, who are still worth millions, are suing. And I know there's guys in need and guys in pain, but a lot of this is just generated down to cash. Most pro athletes broke after 5 years out of their respective leagues. A lot of it has to do with cash. Now, if you have legitimate health concerns and your players association is screwing you, you're going after the wrong guy.
That damn hero did such a good job with the union.
Why aren't they suing the union?
They should be suing the goddamn union. You're exactly right.
They're going after the wrong group. This group from the 60s and 70s that are suing, none of these owners were in the league. You collectively bargained health benefits. Now, if your union is denying you the health benefits...
Your union was run by a thug who was... Perhaps he was as evil as Hoffa. Like...
Well, he was Alan Eagleson.
We did a podcast when he died and I just went off. That guy's was a sack of human shit. And Sorry, I'm still pissed about
No, but
Upshaw.
I
It's
know.
not that we don't have empathy for the players, but unfortunately, he's the guy who fucked you.
When you keep voting a guy into power and you keep losing these benefits when you try and put in a claim, and it wasn't the league denying the benefit, it was the Players Association, because they were the ones that were going to have to kick in, not the owners. So Upshaw was keeping his paycheck, was basically what he was doing, because the more money the association has to give out, the less there is to pay the executives. Now, with the PED, I understand, like when baseball did it, when the players dragged their feet on their testing, they got crucified in the media for dragging their feet.
And Marvin Miller fought that on a principle of privacy. But that principle of privacy went away a long time ago. I understand why he did it, that why should anyone be asked to piss in a cup, but that fight was lost a long time ago.
Yes. I'm curious to see how this is all going to play out. Why it's taken 2 years to get testing for HGH? Baseball right now has the toughest testing in the pro sports.
And the toughest penalties.
Yes.
Toughest penalties by far.
It's relative because, like, Braun got suspended like half a season. Close to half a season in baseball.
But can you think of how many players have been suspended? You know, that mythical final strike where you're banned for life or at least a season. How many players has that actually happened to in the last 20 years? Dexter Manley?
Not many.
Dexter Manley is the only one who leaps to mind.
Yeah, there weren't many. There's been 4 and 8 game
suspensions.
Oh, Greg Williams. Coach.
Oh.
Sean Payton. It all comes back to Spygate. And there's a bunch of players from the Saints, but that wasn't even PED related.
No, Bountygate, Spygate's the one you deny the existence of.
No, it existed. It just doesn't exist now like everybody thinks. And I could prove statistics 6 ways to Sunday too.
Oh.
However, I wanted to paint them. Numbers do lie.
That was supposed to be just an aside, Boyd.
I know.
Wasn't trying to pick a fight there.
Yes,
but no, like, I mean, no, football says they have this whole lifetime ban thing, but really, how often is that being instituted?
Well, okay, the collective bargaining agreement now is like, first one, okay, we educate you, first positive test.
And that should be the way. The notion of supposed confidentiality and treatment is a fine idea in principle, and that's the way it should work.
How many workplaces
as a health problem.
How many workplaces offer the same fucking thing in real life? In real life, if I'm told,
quite a few. Most workplaces find that it's a lot better to try to deal with this than deal with the later lawsuit. It's a strange benefit of the cost thing. They will, as a general rule,
if I'm mid-level management in some company and I've got a drug problem, they don't give a fuck. They could give 2 fucks. This is the whole sports thing, and I love sports. But the whole sports thing about these guys being above everybody else and they deserve a 12th chance is getting on my fucking last nerve. If you want to tell me I just want to be treated like everybody else, why are the cameras in my face? Why are people following me around? Then you have to live up to that. You should be treated like everybody else then. You shouldn't have special agreements in the collective bargaining agreement to protect you from stuff that normal society has to deal with if they fuck up.
Okay, put it this way. On the first offense, most people who are making $500,000 are given that option. So that's fair. Now let's move to the second offense, where they suspend you, 4 games?
Yeah.
Third offense is supposed a season under discretion, it could be lifetime. Is that how it works?
It's somewhere in there, but by the time they get to a suspension, it's the third time.
I think that's true.
So, well, it's second or third time. The first one is treatment or education. The second time's 4 games. Third time is like 8. And okay, this just popped into my head about what you were saying about why they're dragging their feet on the whole HGH testing and the protocol. Is the players don't want Goodell to have any say in the punishment meted out for testing positive. They wanted an independent body.
That's a strong theory. I like that.
Well, it's not a theory. That's the truth. That's why they're dragging their feet.
Yeah,
that's been in report.
Okay.
So that's why they don't want Goodell to be judge, jury, and executioner like he is for everything else, which they negotiated, which they signed away for $200 million.
Another great effort by the NFLPA.
But it's not even a players' association. Let's see how much money we can get for the players. It has nothing to do with anything else. All the owners and the league and the players' association have no interest in protecting the players. It's just cash. Just how can I squeeze the last nickel out of each side to get my guys the most money?
And the Players Association misunderstood the monopoly rock wall that the owners would do at the last CBA. They thought they held the cards. Whether that was their thinking or their union's thinking, they made a bad decision on the strike/lockout. I mean, that's just semantics. And the owners won every point. The players did not gain an inch in that last CBA.
No. But where
on
are you
any
gain
front,
now?
they lost.
But where do they have to gain? Like, honestly, the way they collect
every other league has guaranteed contracts. The NFL is the only one where you can sign 4 years, your leg can come flying off in a pile-up, and they just cut you and say, sorry, we don't owe you any money if you didn't negotiate it up front.
But, okay, is that a factor because they can't insure these players? Or the insurance costs are so high? Has that ever been brought up?
No, the factor was Upshaw gave that up in the mid-'70s. Gene Klein was at the negotiating suit. You know.
No, but I'm saying
that was
now.
An Upshaw power play. But why don't NFL players fight it?
Well, okay, they don't have guaranteed contracts, but the workaround to that is the guaranteed money up front. Like, yes, they sign a $60 million deal, but only $40 million is guaranteed. That's the equivalent of a guaranteed contract. To me.
Yeah.
That's your guarantee. And it's no different.
But if it's all tied up in clauses, like...
No, it's not, though. It's not all tied up.
It's tied up in morals clauses.
Well,
if you test for steroids or, I don't know, murder a bunch of people in Massachusetts...
No, but that's
or
in every
go dogfighting, all of a sudden that guaranteed money isn't guaranteed.
But that's in every sport. That's not just football. They're not going to pay you when you're in jail. Every contract
guaranteed
now
is guaranteed.
Every contract has a morality clause. They're not paying Hernandez his bonuses. His guaranteed money.
I
Patriots
know.
Aren't paying
and they're going to sue back for the money they've already paid him.
Right.
I'm just saying guaranteed doesn't even mean guaranteed.
No, in any sport, though. That's in every sport. That's not just football. But the guaranteed contracts in football is the money up front. Yeah, you might sign a 10-year deal. Like,
and the last deal is always... You know you're going to be cut in the last year, right?
Or 4 years. Like, it depends on how long the deal is.
Yeah. If it's a 4-year deal, you're not making it past year 3 because the number's just there so you can brag to your friends.
Yeah. Well, you look at Peyton Manning. If his arm wouldn't have come back last year, the Broncos were still going to be on the hook for like 30 of that $40 million or whatever it was. That was guaranteed. Even if he couldn't play it out, if they had to cut him, they still had to pay him that amount of money.
Yeah, but if you want to take a risk on a player, Peyton's not a bad choice.
No. I'm just saying explaining on how it works.
Yeah.
So, and it's no different than the fourth line player or the utility infielder in baseball or that fourth line player in hockey. If they're getting a guaranteed contract, they're not getting the signing bonus or the money up front that guys in the NFL get. So
you're saying it actually balances out.
Well, the scrubs in
that
every
in
sport
the
don't
real
benefit.
world, the lack of the guaranteed contract works out in football like
It's close.
it does.
There's still inequality
It's similar.
there.
Yeah, okay.
But it's close.
Okay,
It's
I'll
close.
accept
If you want
that.
to go through signing bonuses and guaranteed money, it's close. Now, it's all just how you negotiate and work around the CBA. That's what all these agents make their money for. It's not to negotiate the contract. It's to figure out the way to get the highest amount of money within the cap system now. So they find the workaround. If it's the guaranteed money up front, they figure that out. In the NHL, they did 15-year deals to circumvent the salary cap, and the owners just keep signing the checks and then cry poverty when it's time to renegotiate.
And then they instituted the whole we're allowed to fuck up buyout rule on those contracts. Didn't they do that in the last CBA in hockey?
Yeah, the last two CBAs they did it. Did it in NBA, amnesty clause, whatever the fuck you want to call it. They just
It's like the owners are drunk clause.
Yeah.
We're allowed to fuck up.
Yeah, we fucked up, so now we get to wipe the slate clean. But they still have to pay these guys out when they amnesty these guys.
True, but I mean,
out.
there's so much money in
and
particular the NFL, and I mean, what it does is it creates an artificial market.
Yes, but the fact is, I think the NFL, and we're getting off topic here a little bit, but the NFL, the money up front, because if you're one of the top,
I hate to
guys
say
on
this,
a team,
it's just okay. If I'm an athlete, I think, why aren't contracts guaranteed? Do you think maybe the fact that they aren't guaranteed in any real sense, except for having negotiated, as you just described, maybe that makes it better? Players are required to perform to the level of their contracts, or at least attempt to perform to the level of those contracts.
Yes, and these guys that get cut, if they haven't performed to the level of their contract, somebody usually picks them up to give them a chance. They may not get the same amount of money, but what's his name?
I think it might be more realistic. It's just a little cold.
But the top guys in every sport, that's where the money funnels. It's no different than real life. The top guys, the money funnels up. The rest of us peons just work to funnel money to the top. And it's the same way in sports. The Bradys and the Mannings, the money funnels towards them, but they need these other guys to create that revenue to funnel it to them. It's no different. The model's no different. So the way we scream about the poor getting screwed every time there's an election, that's the 53rd guy on the roster in an NFL team. He's still got to go out and perform a job and work just as hard as a guy making $20 million, only he's not getting that $20 million. But he has to help generate the revenue so that guy can be paid $20 million. There's nothing different from sports and life. The business model is the same as any business.
Except
of any corporation.
Monopoly.
Yeah.
And that's actually, we just pointed out a bunch of differences between the protected monopoly and the so-called unfettered market system.
Yes, and it's hilarious. The socialism calls they have in the U.S. when they're all fucking socialist.
Yeah.
When you don't take money from the government, then you can claim you're not a socialist. So that you're a capitalist. But those fucking capitalists are the ones lining up for the government grants or the subsidies from the government. I was thinking of this the other day, and this is so far off fucking topic, but I was thinking of this the other day, how the Americans always cry socialism and how much they hate it and it's evil. Well, the only reason them pricks are able to eat as cheap as they eat is socialism. And I've never heard anybody their farmers are all subsidized to produce what they produce.
Well, and
to keep food costs low.
And
but they don't complain about that.
Massive percentage of farmland is actually owned by corporations now.
Yeah, but they don't complain to get the subsidies so they can eat cheap. Food is so cheap in the U.S., it's mind-boggling.
The biggest importer of fuel and the lowest fuel costs on the planet. It's if you look at Chicago school economics, it's a strange dichotomy.
Yes. They're as socialist can be, but they hate it. So I just had to get that out there because I thought of it the other day. And this is my only forum. So if you don't like it, fuck off. No. So I guess to wrap up the PED thing in the NFL, if they go with the current negotiations and they're going to use the baseline of the players currently in the league, it's a farce, which they'll probably do, and then walk out and say, we have the toughest drug testing in sports. Another hoax. There's no real hard drug testing in sports. To me, if you want it, go to Olympic style testing. And I know there's guys get around it in that too, but it's still way more stringent and restrictive than any pro sport on the planet.
And my opinion is really it's bullshit and moralism. You know, we can talk about the PEDs at some point, but let's take marijuana off the fucking list. It's legal in a couple of states, and it's the only crimes are because it's illegal. You know? Let's stop the bullshit suspensions for that. If you want to deal with PEDs, let's talk about something that's really not going to make you perform any, get rid of something that's not really going to make you perform any better on the fucking football field.
Okay, I know, but okay, you said moralistic bullshit. As long as it's illegal, they'll never take it out because they have to give the illusion that they're morally upright.
Well, what if you're a Bronco?
That's the biggest problem.
And you're caught smoking weed legally in your home state.
Yeah, but what if... Yeah, but if it's in your system, that's not to say you didn't smoke it.
If you go to Amsterdam and eat a space cake cookie, did I commit a crime in Canada?
No. But if you eat 8 space cake cookies, get on a plane, fly back, get in your car at the airport...
them up my ass, yes.
No, eat them. Come home, drive high, and kill somebody. Yeah, you are. And I know I'm being totally ridiculous, but
it's
just to show you how ridiculous everything else is.
Yeah, it's just in that one, times have changed.
But it doesn't, Marlon, that won't hold water because in MMA, Nate Diaz tested positive for marijuana in Nevada, where he fought, but he has medical marijuana clearance in California, where he lives. And he still had his money stripped from that fight.
Oh, yeah, legally, and I'm just saying it's screwed, because if the notion is protect from PEDs...
No, but that's not the notion.
Okay, so why does a marijuana test go on your drug test listing, but a DUI just goes onto your naughty boy listing?
Because alcohol's legal. It's the moralistic bullshit.
Yeah, and
that's all it is. They give us the illusion that they're trying to do something to keep everything fair and morally correct. And you could
and by the way, I believe in morality. I believe in human morality. I'm not saying that everything is great. Do what you want, but the way to approach this shit is not to lump in jaywalking with triple homicide.
No, I know, but it's the same reason we go after politicians. They lie. All the time. We don't want them to lie. We ask them to be truthful, but then you find something out about what they do. in their personal life, and they're persecuted. So who's not going to lie? That's the same moralistic bullshit that is permeating sports now. Oh, we're clean, we're pure, stay away from, we don't do anything wrong. Look at how hard we are on these players. We're trying to keep everything clean. And they can't.
Well, and they're going for the easy victim. The easy victim is the dope smoker. I mean, we'll go back to the late, great Peter Gent.
It's
the
not
players
even
were
that.
fucking smoking weed in the early 60s. It helped.
Yes, but it's not. That's
and
not.
It made them feel better. It didn't help them perform any better,
No.
except...
It has nothing to do with that, Marlon. You're looking at it from the wrong angle. It's the morality. It's illegal, so it's immoral.
But it's not illegal everywhere.
No, it basically is. 48 out of 50 states, it's illegal.
Okay.
So the morality of I know, but the
can I
morality
light up?
The morality of the majority is that it's illegal. So they can't be saying.
I'm just saying,
can't
cut
have
the
a league.
bullshit. We've really gotten off topic here.
No, but you can't cut the bullshit. Because we can't cut the bullshit in our day-to-day life. How can a league do it? If we can't cut the bullshit out of what we are governed under, there's no fucking league in the world going to take that on and say, we're wiping our hands clean of marijuana. We're not testing for it. There is no way in hell, because little Johnny looks up to these guys. It's all about the kids. Don't forget about the kids. Because
someone please think of the children.
Because we're affecting them negatively. That's morality is for the kids. The so-called morality is for the kids. That whole bullshit illusion they sell that they're, we're friendly to the fans and it's bullshit. All of it's bullshit just to keep the money rolling. Same as politicians, same as everybody that gets caught. Clinton gets caught, lie. It doesn't, everybody would lie in that situation because we want that. We want them to lie because we don't want to deal with the truth. Same with sports leagues and PEDs and marijuana and every other thing they can test positive for. We need that, or they think we need the illusion so that we'll keep watching. When most people are past that, I would hope, if they have a fucking brain in their head and can think for themselves and not just what fucking Stephen A. Smith fucking spews on ESPN or any of the other pundits that are the so-called fucking experts, that's what they sell us.
And once every decade or two, there will arise from Florida a man, and his name is Tebow.
All right, we should probably wrap this up. That was a good one, buddy.
All right, man, I had a lot of fun with that.
All right, so if you want to check out our podcast, just go to iTunes, search Offensive Lines, or you can listen to it on our website or download it to your favorite device, offensivelines.ca. Follow us on Twitter for any podcast updates or when we have new posts on the website. It's at Offensive Lines. Or on Facebook.com/Offensive Lines. And if you want to contact the show, you can email us at offensivelines@shaw.ca. I'm Boyd.
I'm Marlon. And that's Offensive Lines.
Degenerate fucking gambler.